Is this the divine ability of that demon path scion? It's terrifying. Anyone who encounters this person will undoubtedly die. With my strength, there's no way I can fight against it. This divine ability, I've never heard of anything like it. It's earth-shattering. Xu Ting stared at the scene, his fists clenched, but he didn't notice that his hands were trembling slightly. Inside the Thunder Immortal Palace, on the 1,000-foot blue stone, the large-headed youth suddenly opened his eyes. He spat out a mouthful of fresh blood, his body immediately going limp. His face twisted in pain, and he suddenly stood up, sweeping his gaze around. His eyes widened in shock when he saw something. No. Sit down. Yin Lazy barked. The large-headed youth trembled and quickly sat back down. His heart raced, and his mind was in turmoil. He had intended to risk it all and seek revenge on Wang Lin's true body, but after getting up and looking around, he realized that only 108 people were sitting here. 4 were missing. Could it be that within the threat of heaven, for individuals didn't enter with their split spirits, but with their true bodies? The large-headed youth's scalp tingled, and he secretly thanked his lucky stars that he wasn't one of those who had entered with their true bodies. Cold sweat broke out on him, filled with fear. No wonder the storage pouches can't be opened. Only magical artifacts integrated with the primordial spirit can be used. The large-headed youth took a deep breath, still in shock, continuing to worry. On the slaughter battlefield, a flash of golden light appeared in the sky, followed by a flashing rune that merged into the immortal sealing seal. This rune absorbed the dissipating split spirit of the large-headed youth and became imbued with spiritual energy. Wang Lin retracted the immortal sealing seal, glancing at Xun'er, who seemed dazed by the recent scene. He patted his storage pouch and took out some pills, handing them to Xun'er. Find a secluded spot and meditate in peace. Xun'er took the pills and was about to swallow them when his gaze suddenly froze. With a strange look, he stared at Wang Lin's storage pouch. After a brief hesitation, he asked, "Master, can you open your storage pouch?" Wang Lin was startled, then his eyes darkened instantly. His mind raced as he quickly grasped the situation. With his intelligence, he immediately understood the meaning behind the question. "You can't open it?" Wang Lin glared at Xun'er. Xun'er nodded. In front of Wang Lin, he sent his divine sense into the storage pouch. When he slapped it, there was no reaction. Wang Lin fell silent, not speaking, and turned to step into the air. Xun'er's heart churned with suspicion, but he hesitated for a moment before following Wang Lin's orders and immediately sought out a hiding place. As Wang Lin walked through the slaughter battlefield, a cold smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. What a slaughter battlefield, where there's truth within the false and falsehood within the truth. Yin Lazy, truly a deep schemer. I admire him. 112 entered here, excluding the 108. There are still 4 left. Previously, I killed 2 who had storage pouches. Now, besides me, there's only 1 left. I wonder who this unfortunate last person is. As Wang Lin walked, his divine sense spread unconsciously. Any time he sensed a cultivator's presence, it would flicker and disappear. Along the way, Wang Lin showed no mercy. This place was the slaughter battlefield, and anyone who entered had to be prepared to kill and be killed. Moreover, even if one died, it wouldn't be a true death. As such, every cultivator Wang Lin encountered could not escape. But before making a move, Wang Lin would always check if their storage pouches could be opened. If they couldn't, he would take action. The slaughter was also quickly proceeding on the other side. Xu Ting reformed into mist and swept through, devouring everything in his path. In the end, many cultivators, after slaughtering each other and earning a kill quota, chose to end their lives rather than give their kill to someone else. Time slowly passed, and the remaining cultivators on the slaughter battlefield grew fewer and fewer. Wang Lin's side was slightly better. If a cultivator chose to end their own life, Wang Lin wouldn't take action. Instead, he would silently take their split spirit with a golden talisman when they perished. But on Xu Ting's side, it was filled with violence. Even if one wished to end their life, if they were slow, they would still be devoured by the mist. The slaughterland also had its nights. As the night fell, only a few cultivators remained on the battlefield. Wang Lin's divine sense spread, and he took step after step towards Xu Ting's location. Xu Ting was the one he needed to kill, especially with the trace of origin power in his body. Wang Lin had sensed it when he first saw him, and would not let it go. Xu Ting also spread his divine sense, locking onto Wang Lin. His body flickered in the black mist as he rushed straight toward Wang Lin. In his area, all the other cultivators had died, and he was the only one left. His speed grew faster and faster, his figure resembling a long rainbow. A thick killing intent brewed, growing to an overwhelming degree. Sumu. A roar came from Xu Ting's mouth, shaking the heavens and the earth. Wang Lin's gaze was calm as his body rose into the air. From afar, he looked toward the rapidly approaching Xu Ting. A thick black mist surrounded Xu Ting's figure, coalescing behind him into a massive demonic shadow. Though silent, it radiated waves of furious roars as it surged toward Wang Lin. Let's hope he's the last one who can open that storage pouch. A glint of killing intent flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. Xu Ting's speed grew even faster. As he charged forward, a series of thunderous sonic booms exploded in his wake, crashing straight toward Wang Lin. With a deafening boom, Xu Ting reached striking distance. Behind him, the demonic shadow opened its mouth wide, attempting to devour Wang Lin with frenzied ferocity. In front of Wang Lin, the immortal sealing seal expanded to 100 zhang. Runes shimmered across its surface, releasing a vast golden light that pierced the night. Thunderous rumbling continued as the two clashed in midair, launching into a fierce battle. On the ground, Shen Gonghu stepped out from his hiding place and climbed to the top of a tall tree, eyes fixed on the distant sky battle. Just then, a hand patted his shoulder from behind. Startled, Shen Gonghu instinctively lunged forward, preparing to unleash a divine art, but a soft chuckle stopped him. Relax. You jumping out like that nearly scared me too. Nan Gong'an laughed and plopped down in the spot Shen Gonghu had just vacated. Gazing up at the intense battle, he sighed. To witness such a spectacular fight under this night sky, what a rare pleasure in life. As he spoke, he patted his storage pouch, pulled out a jug of wine, and took a swig. Shen Gonghu stared at Nan Gong'an's storage pouch, then turned away and sat on another tree not far off. Heh, you caught me. What can I say? I'm unlucky, my real body ended up here. Thankfully, I realized it early. If I'd charged in like a fool and gotten myself killed, that would have been the end of me. So I hid until it was over, safer that way. Nan Gong'an took a big gulp of wine, his expression clouded with frustration. In the distance, a six-fingered cultivator also sat atop a tree, silently watching the battle. His eyes gleamed coldly. You two strongest, fight. Only then will I have my chance. He licked his lips, a chilling smile curling at the corners of his mouth. Xu Ting's demonic shadow collided with Wang Lin's immortal sealing seal, unleashing a thunderous roar that shook the entire land of slaughter. With a violent shockwave, Xu Ting was blasted back several zhang, the shadowy figure behind him flickering as it retreated with him. Wang Lin was pushed back 3 zhang. His expression remained composed, but the killing intent in his eyes intensified. As Xu Ting retreated, he quickly formed a hand seal, channeling endless primordial energy throughout his body. The black vortex at his brow spun faster and faster. He gave a low shout, "Serpent devour." With those words, the shadow behind him surged like clouds, instantly transforming into a massive black serpent, 100 zhang long. It let out a thunderous roar as it lunged at Wang Lin. Wang Lin had seen this divine art before and knew its power. He raised his right hand and, forming a seal, intoned, "Wind summoning." A black wind burst from his palm, sweeping across the heavens. It morphed into 2 ferocious black dragons, which roared as they charged toward the serpent. The clash unleashed gales as the creatures entangled and began devouring one another. But wind summoning was a divine ability of the immortal emperor. As they twisted and consumed one another, the serpent had only just devoured one black dragon when it suddenly let out a cry of agony. Its body swelled uncontrollably until it exploded with a boom. The moment the serpent's body shattered, the black dragon it had consumed re-emerged, joining its twin. Together, the dragons rushed towards Xu Ting. Xu Ting quickly formed another seal and pointed to his forehead. Mountain descent. A surge of black mist erupted from the back of his head, forming a massive fog bank that enveloped the sky and condensed into a colossal black mountain. The mountain loomed over the heavens, seemingly replacing the sky itself. It moved with Xu Ting, crashing down toward Wang Lin with overwhelming force. Still calm, Wang Lin stared at Xu Ting, the killing intent in his eyes now blazing. As the black dragon surged forward, he raised his right hand and placed it on his forehead. He was done playing games with Xu Ting. Third seal, open. His voice was calm, yet carried a chilling edge. A red thread at his brow instantly extended, pulling apart at the sides. His third eye suddenly burst open, releasing an unimaginable crimson light. The red light fanned out and spread madly in all directions. The terrifying power sealed within him now erupted, though only a third of it was unleashed with the opening of one of the 3 seals, it still infused the crimson light. As the black mountain came crashing down, it was engulfed by the red glow. In a blink, it began to unravel in eerie layers. Within half a breath, it dissolved into black mist and vanished without a trace. Terror filled Xu Ting's eyes. A massive, unprecedented sense of danger engulfed him. Panicked, he attempted to retreat at full speed, but he was too late. The crimson light, having obliterated the black mountain, swept toward him as Wang Lin turned his head and fell upon him. Xu Ting only felt a jolt through his body, as if thousands of thunderclaps exploded inside him simultaneously. Everything before his eyes vanished, and the buzzing in his ears couldn't drown out the pounding of his heart, which was accelerating faster and faster. Thump, thump. His heartbeat reached its limit, as if it was about to explode. His blood and primordial energy rushed through his body uncontrollably. The black mist at the center of his forehead emitted growls of struggle, as if trying to burst out of him. What kind of divine ability is this? Xu Ting's entire body was drenched in sweat, his clothes soaked through. Yet, at this moment, under the red glow, he couldn't move an inch, as if some force had frozen him in place. An endless panic surged through him, drowning him like a tidal wave. This force held within the red glow, rampaging into his body. He clearly felt that under this red light, his body was being shattered layer by layer, first his skin, then his flesh and bones, all collapsing as if returning to their primal state. Next, his primordial spirit began to degrade, first into a nascent soul, then into a golden core, and once again, the golden core exploded, transforming into raw spiritual power. But it didn't stop. The spiritual power shattered once more. With a desperate scream, Xu Ting's entire existence collapsed and disintegrated in an instant. Even the trace of his primordial essence within his split spirit was yanked out and vanished into the red glow. The red light faded, and Wang Lin's face showed extreme exhaustion. He swayed and immediately landed on a large tree, sitting cross-legged to quickly seal the power in his forehead. This strange scene caused Nan Gahan, who was drinking from afar, to spit out his drink, his eyes filled with shock. I can't beat him. Shin Gonghu took a deep breath, staring at Wang Lin. The red glow earlier had reminded him of a figure from his past, one who had completely subjugated him when he was in the thunder pool. The six-fingered cultivator's eyes widened in horror, but his killing intent flared. He rushed forward, heading straight for Wang Lin. He must be injured now, and this is the best opportunity to kill him. If I can slay the demon Taoist Su Mu here, even if it's just by killing his split spirit, my name, Zhou Xing Dao, will be famous throughout the Luotian star domain. Driven by a surge of passion, the six-fingered cultivator moved like lightning, raising his sixth finger, which immediately glowed with a blinding blue light. He moved too quickly, and in an instant, he was close to Wang Lin. Shin Gonghu's face changed. He wanted to rush out, but it was already too late. Nan Gong'an suddenly stood up and, in a blur, took a step forward. At the moment the six-fingered cultivator neared Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. A cold killing intent radiated from them. Get lost. The word shot out, transforming into endless thunder, rumbling as the entire sky filled with a storm of lightning, descending violently upon the six-fingered cultivator. The six-fingered cultivator's face turned pale as he felt like countless thunderclaps exploded in his mind. Wang Lin's reputation had been deeply ingrained in his heart. Before he could strike, his Dao heart faltered. His eyes widened in terror, and he dared not attack, retreating rapidly. Thunder roared as it rained down, crashing down relentlessly as the six-fingered cultivator retreated. The sound was deafening, and he groaned in pain, struggling desperately, but the lightning continued to increase, eventually merging into one, resembling a heavenly tribulation. As he stepped back, the thunder flashed beneath his feet, emitting a loud, cracking noise. This sound was sharp and piercing, intensifying Wang Lin's imposing aura. In an instant, Wang Lin caught up to the retreating six-fingered cultivator. With two fingers forming a sword, Wang Lin pointed forward, and thunder from all directions surged toward the six-fingered cultivator. Under the deluge of heavenly thunder, the six-fingered cultivator's face turned ashen. He formed hand seals in an attempt to resist, but Wang Lin's finger absorbed all the surrounding thunder in a flash, forming a single beam, like the eternal thunder of ancient times, and it shot out. It broke through all divine abilities, directly entering the six-fingered cultivator's body, forming a wild thunderstorm that shattered his flesh and collapsed his primordial spirit. The six-fingered cultivator let out a miserable cry, his primordial energy spilling out as he exploded into pieces. A golden rune flashed, and a golden talisman fused into the six-fingered cultivator's body, absorbing his spiritual essence and returning to the immortal sealing seal. All of this happened in an instant. Almost as soon as the six-fingered cultivator launched his sneak attack, Wang Lin struck him down. Wang Lin's face was slightly pale, his forehead seal gradually tightening as his third eye slowly disappeared, becoming a thin line. He turned around and fixed his gaze on Nengonghan, who had appeared 10 zhang away. "You want to fight me too?" Nengonghan's expression grew serious as he studied Wang Lin for a moment. After a pause, he suddenly laughed and shook his head. "I can't beat you. Actually, I came out to help you deal with that sneak attacker." Wang Lin withdrew his gaze, sat cross-legged to the side, and began meditating, regulating his breath. At that moment, the sky above churned with wind and cloud. From within the clouds, a five-colored radiance emerged. As the light descended, it split into 3 beams, enveloping Wang Lin, Nengonghan, and Shun Gonghu. Shun Gonghu trembled and instantly vanished into the five-colored light. Only Wang Lin and Nengonghan were pulled upward, drawn into the sky by the radiant force. This time, Wang Lin did not lose consciousness. Instead, he clearly saw a rift tear open in the sky. Without resistance, his body was pulled into the rift. His vision blurred, and when it cleared, he found himself facing a massive green stone platform stretching 1,000 zhang across, surrounded by a vast number of cultivators. With a sway, Wang Lin landed from midair, Nengonghan descending nearly in tandem. On the giant green stone, all 108 cultivators had already awakened. Xu Ting of Donglin's star wore a dark, brooding expression, staring silently at Wang Lin. The six-fingered cultivator was also glaring at Wang Lin with a venomous look. Yin Lazy wore a faint smile as he stood and slowly declared, "Within the Thunder Immortal Palace, we shall confer the titles of the 108 immortals." As he spoke, he reached out with his right hand and grasped the air. Instantly, the entire Thunder Immortal Palace trembled. Ethereal melodies, like divine music from the immortal realm, began to echo around them. The sound was heavenly, transcendent. With the music, vast auspicious clouds gathered, descending and spreading throughout the area. Dense, immortal chi filled the surroundings, making this place seem no different from a true immortal realm. Several immortal cranes soared through the air, letting out clear, resonant cries that stirred the soul. From a distance, the scene, coupled with the countless immortal palaces of the Thunder Immortal Palace beneath the celestial clouds, was indistinguishable from the actual immortal realm. Around the area, under the leadership of their respective family patriarchs, cultivators rose to their feet one after another, expressions solemn and respectful, forming a dense, unbroken sea of people. Even the ancient monsters sitting on the meditation cushions stood up, their faces serious. In the sky above, Thunder Immortal Palace emissaries emerged one by one, positioning themselves at the perimeter, each wearing a look of reverence. At that moment, not only was the Thunder Immortal Palace observing this solemn event, across the entire Luotian star domain, the Thunder Immortal Palace used a special transmission method to broadcast this scene. On every cultivation star, and within every cultivation family, nearly all cultivators gazed toward the heavens. Within each of these stars, there existed a voice transmission stone granted by the Thunder Immortal Palace. These voice transmission stones not only transmitted sound, but could project the sealing ceremony of the Thunder Immortal Palace into the skies. They were distributed freely, intended not only for the immortal conferment but also to serve as a full-scale mobilization for the upcoming Alliance Decisive battle. At this very moment, nearly the entire Luotian star domain witnessed the grandeur of the immortal conferment through the projections in the sky. The Thunder Immortal Palace stood at the central junction of the eastern, western, southern, and northern regions of the domain. Now, beyond its sphere of influence, a chilling battle aura was spreading across all 4 directions. To the east, countless cultivators gathered, no fewer than 10,000 at a glance. Their clothing varied, clearly representing different cultivation families. They stood silently, gazing ahead. At the forefront stood a figure clad in crimson armor, long white hair drifting in the breeze, face expressionless. In his hand was a voice transmission stone, through which the Thunder Immortal Palace's immortal conferment scene projected into the starry sky. The south mirrored the same 10,000 cultivators seated cross-legged beneath the stars, led by an elder holding a horsetail whisk, all watching the sky in silence. The west and north were no different. Armies of cultivators had gathered. At this moment, the immortal conferment held by the Thunder Immortal Palace commanded the attention of all within the Luotian star domain. Within the Thunder Immortal Palace, an immortal crane flew in, a yellow silk scroll in its beak. As it hovered above Yen Lazy, it released the scroll, which fluttered down into his hand. He gave the scroll a flick, and it immediately unfurled before him, releasing an intense surge of immortal chi. It was clearly an immortal treasure. Among you, there are 110, Yen Lazy proclaimed. Originally, 2 were to be eliminated. However, considering the trials you've endured and the mercy granted by the heavens and sparing a sliver of fate, we shall instead confer the title of Principal and Deputy Thunder Immortals upon the strongest 2. The remaining 108 will be appointed as 36 Celestial Guardians and 72 Earthly Fiends. He paused briefly, sweeping his gaze across each cultivator standing on the massive green stone before calling out, "Sumu, step forward." Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. He soared into the air, cupped his fists, and responded, "Here." Yen Lazy's expression turned solemn. In a deep voice, he said, "You have passed the heavenly, earthly, and mortal trials, as well as the threat of heaven ordeal. Sumu, I hereby confer upon you the title of True Thunder Immortal of the Luotian Star Domain. Lead the 3,000 cultivator army as the first vanguard of our domain." As he spoke, he waved his right hand through the air. Instantly, a golden light immortal brush appeared in his hand. With a graceful motion, he inscribed the first line of text on the yellow silk scroll before him. True Thunder Immortal. Sumu, the moment those 6 characters were written, golden light burst forth from them, and thunderous roars erupted. The characters seemed to pierce through the yellow silk scroll, flying out and merging into one another, transforming into a tiger of thunder and radiance. The thunder tiger, Tinzhong in size, let out a deafening roar toward the sky as it materialized. Then, in a single bound, it charged straight at Wang Lin. Yet, just 1 zhang before reaching him, it shrank rapidly and finally transformed into a 3-inch banner. On the surface of the flag, the shadow of the ferocious tiger flickered faintly in and out of view. I grant you the immortal treasure, the heavenly tiger banner. With this banner, command the 3,000 cultivator army of Luotian, become a power unto yourself. Yen Lazy's voice rumbled like thunder, echoing in all directions. Wang Lin took the heavenly tiger banner, drew in a deep breath, and clasped his fists. I accept your command. At that very moment, Wang Lin's image was clearly transmitted to all the cultivators of the Luotian star domain via voice transmission stones, sparking a storm across the entire domain. That's him, Sumu. Demon Daoist Sumu, the true Thunder Immortal. He has surpassed even the 108 immortals. His cultivation must be unfathomable, far from ordinary. On Rand Yun Star, a graceful female cultivator was meditating, barely paying attention to the immortal conferment spectacle in the sky. But suddenly she froze. Her gaze landed on Wang Lin in the sky, and a flicker of confusion crossed her face. There was something oddly familiar about him. She felt as though she had seen him somewhere before. And it wasn't just her. Every cultivator on Ran Yun Star stood motionless, staring dazedly at the sky. A storm raged in their hearts, difficult to calm. On Azure Spirit Star, countless cultivators also looked up. At that moment, the elder cultivators of various families all cried out in shock. Patriarch. At the summit of Hengyun Mountain, Xie Qing awoke from meditation, gazing at the sky with excitement in his eyes. He took a deep breath and murmured, "Master." On a remote cultivation star, Yo Bingyun sat cross-legged atop the tallest icy peak. She raised her head to the sky, her eyes filled with a complex array of emotions. I never expected he would become a Thunder Immortal. In the northern region of Luotian, on a half-abandoned cultivation star where a foul stench often drifted yet remained untraceable, the vicious-eyed Tanlang looked up from a mountain valley, his gaze sharp. To think he has reached such heights within the Luotian star domain. At that moment, every cultivator across the Luotian star domain who knew Wang Lin stared unblinking at the sky, their eyes filled with varying degrees of shock. Within the Thunder Immortal Palace, Yen Lazy called out in a low voice, "Xu Ting, step forward." Xu Ting took a deep breath and immediately stepped up, standing respectfully. I confer upon you the title of Vice Thunder Immortal. Led 2,000 cultivators as our second vanguard for the Luotian star domain. Although resentment stirred in Xu Ting's heart, he could only yield at this moment. After a pause, he replied respectfully, "I accept your command." Then, with Yin Lazy's successive proclamations, the 108 immortals were conferred their titles, one after another. Each received a spiritual banner, establishing themselves as immortal lords of their own territories. Principal and Deputy Thunder Immortals, along with the 36 Celestial Guardians, enter the Ascension pool. With a sweep of Yin Lazy's wide sleeve, the yellow silk before him vanished, and heavenly clouds surged in the sky. As they condensed, they formed a cloud pool that slowly descended. Within that pool, ripples of cyan water shimmered, emanating a soul-shaking aura. Enter the Thunder Pool, dissolve your conceptual realm, merge heavenly origin into immortal essence, and henceforth become true immortals, eternal. Yin Lazy's voice echoed throughout the heavens and earth. Wang Lin understood this well. Ripples spread across the cyan surface of the Ascension pool, as waves of immortal chi spread out, enveloping the area. All the surrounding cultivators fell silent. The Ascension pool offered both fortune and peril. To enter or not, this became a difficult choice that weighed heavily on everyone's heart. Yin Lazy did not pressure them. He simply gazed calmly at the younger cultivators before him. And he was not alone. All onlookers and the Thunder Immortal Palace emissaries around him fixed their attention on the scene. Likewise, every cultivator in the Luotian star domain was watching. It was as if the entire Luotian star domain had fallen silent in that instant. Every cultivator on every cultivation star held their breath. This was a difficult decision. No one could say which was right or wrong. Only that there were two paths. One was the path of immortal cultivation, the other, the path of Tao cultivation. Which was stronger, which weaker, no one could say until the very end. In ancient times, ancient Qi practitioners sought eternal life and ascension. Entering the immortal realm and bathing in the Ascension pool was considered the greatest honor. It transformed their internal primordial energy into immortal essence, elevating them into true immortals. That was the ultimate pursuit of ancient Qi practitioners. They did not cultivate conceptual realms, nor did they seek enlightenment. Their cultivation advanced solely through heavenly treasures and immortal Qi pills. After the immortal realm collapsed, the newly emerging cultivators no longer pursued immortality because the immortal realm was gone. What they cultivated was the Tao. And because they cultivated the Tao, there arose comprehension. Enlightenment, sudden realization, and deep understanding all revolve around the concept of Wu, and it is the key to the path of Tao cultivation. The essence of cultivation lies in this very realization. One must understand the way of heaven, whether by submission or resistance. Without enlightenment, cultivation would be stagnant, and progress would be impossible. At this moment, before the 110 cultivators, including Wang Lin, lay two distinct paths, to choose the ancient way or the present one. Qing Shui calmly gazed at Wang Lin, hoping that Wang Lin would enter the Thunder Pool, abandon his conceptual realm, and thus become a true immortal, a genuine disciple of his master, Bai Fan. Xu Ting fell silent. His life had been one of pride. He had never regarded anyone as his equal among his peers. Since leaving Donlin Star, he had encountered no worthy opponents. However, in the immortal sealing battle at the Thunder Immortal Palace, he had been repeatedly defeated by Wang Lin, and in the threat of heaven, he had suffered a complete collapse and died. This, he could not accept. Yet, despite this, Xu Ting held a tinge of respect for Wang Lin. But this respect was insignificant compared to his unwillingness to concede defeat. He understood that if things continued as they were, he would never fully surpass Wang Lin. He had to take a different path, make a qualitative leap. Thus, he resolutely abandoned his conceptual realm and chose the path to immortality. Upon entering the immortal Ascension pool, Xu Ting immediately felt an unbearable, excruciating pain surge from within his body. The water seemed to boil as it incessantly entered him. Sweat the size of beans poured from Xu Ting's forehead. The pain was so intense that he nearly lost consciousness, as if a blade were carving his flesh, stripping his bones, and draining his marrow. The conceptual realm he had cultivated for millennia was swiftly absorbed. Massive amounts of immortal power fused with his primordial energy, creating a power that he had never felt before, concentrating throughout his entire body. In less than half an instant's time, Xu Ting let out a roar toward the sky. His hair stood on end as a tremendous power erupted from his body. The very air around him vibrated with a series of deafening booms. A powerful aura of immortal energy exploded from him. His strength now surpassed what it had been before. Xu Ting's eyes shone like lightning, and a sensation of unparalleled comfort spread throughout his body. Clenching his fists, he felt as if he had gained control over the very forces of heaven and earth. The immortal arts he had learned flashed through his mind, now fully under his control, allowing him to wield them freely at will. Sumu, one day, we must battle. Xu Ting stepped out of the immortal ascension pool, his eyes burning like fire as he glanced at Wang Lin, then turned his gaze away. Xu Ting's display immediately solidified the resolve of many others who had previously hesitated. One by one, they stepped into the immortal ascension pool. After enduring agonizing screams, each of them emerged with an enormous increase in power, their immortal energy soaring. They walked slowly out of the pool, their faces alight with joy, feeling the immense power and mastery over their immortal arts, never regretting their choice. Wang Lin quietly watched the immortal ascension pool, his heart filled with complexity. He saw the third step and knew of Immortal Emperor by Fan's madness within the Thunder Immortal realm. All of this was shrouded in mystery. Cultivation was no simple task. The path, in his view, was unclear in terms of what was right or wrong. He simply did not wish to choose it. Furthermore, most importantly, Wang Lin noticed that none of the ancient monsters sitting on their meditation cushions bothered to look at the ascension pool when it appeared. This fact only further solidified his own choice. The Principal and Deputy Thunder Immortals, the 36 Heavenly Guardians, ultimately, 17 chose to enter the Immortal Ascension pool. Among those who did not choose this path were Wang Lin, Nan Gonghan, Shen Gonghu, Zhang Konglai, and a few others. This is your own choice. Do not regret it in the future. Yin Lazy scanned the group, raising his right hand and pointing forward. Immediately, the Immortal Ascension pool rumbled, lifting into the air and disappearing from sight. Please, the Immortal Sealing Stone. Yin Lazy spoke with great respect. As his words left his mouth, the clouds in the sky swirled and transformed into cloud dragons, twisting through the air. A shocking pressure descended from the heavens, enveloping the area. Cultivators throughout the Luotian star domain watched in awe, not daring to blink. After a brief moment, one of the cloud dragons swayed and descended from the sky. It opened its mouth and released a stone that was half a zhang in size. When it hit the ground, the entire Thunder Immortal Palace shook with a thunderous crash, causing the earth to tremble. A vast wave of immortal energy swept through, carrying an aura of brutality as it spread uncontrollably. Principal and Deputy Thunder Immortals, the 36 Heavenly Guardians, it is time for you to carve your names on the Immortal Sealing Stone. Xu Ting's eyes flashed. He immediately stepped forward, approaching the Immortal Sealing Stone. Upon a single glance at the stone, he suddenly froze. On the Immortal Sealing Stone, countless names were carved densely, each one radiating a powerful aura. Some of these names belonged to renowned figures from the Luotian star domain, further intensifying the weight of his resolve to carve his own name. Lifting his right hand, he searched for a blank space and swiftly etched his name with a fierce stroke. The stone flashed with a blue light, and a great force surged into Xu Ting's body, forcefully pushing him back. Xu Ting let out a cold laugh as his entire body's immortal energy surged wildly. Under the swirling black mist between his brows, he sent a portion of his energy into his fingertip and viciously carved onto the Immortal Sealing Stone. After struggling to carve his name, he felt as though his strength had been drained. He staggered back several steps, his face pale. Wang Lin glanced at Xu Ting, immediately understanding that Xu Ting had drained part of his soul essence, which had been absorbed by the Immortal Sealing Stone. Wang Lin's heart instinctively grew cautious. Yin Lazy nodded. Anyone able to carve their name onto the Immortal Sealing Stone was an exceptional cultivator, and he was quite satisfied with Xu Ting. He silently thought that Xu Ting would certainly shine in the upcoming alliance war. After Xu Ting, 36 Celestial Guardians took their turns, but aside from Nan Gonghan, the six-fingered cultivator, and the large-headed boy, none were able to carve their names. Wang Lin was the last. With calm eyes, he slowly walked toward the half-zhang Immortal Sealing Stone. Staring at the names etched upon it, he fell into deep thought. Wang Lin was cautious by nature, and he had no intention of entering the Ascension pool for various reasons. At this moment, the Immortal Sealing Seal only deepened his hesitation. His silence drew the attention of the surrounding cultivators, making him the center of their focus. His choice not to enter the Ascension pool had already sparked murmurs, and now, standing in front of the Immortal Sealing Stone, his silence further ignited speculation. Not only them, but throughout the entire Luotian star domain. Every cultivator who had witnessed the scene via the voice transmission stone held their breath, observing intently. They wanted to know if Su Mu would give up. If not, could he carve his name on the Immortal Sealing Stone? Although most of them were unaware of the legends and origins of the Immortal Sealing Stone, they were still deeply curious. After a moment of contemplation, Wang Lin's eyes flickered. He raised his right hand, placing his index finger on the stone. The moment he pressed down, a great force surged from within the stone, pushing his hand away. Slightly frowning, Wang Lin circulated his primordial energy and placed his index finger on the stone once more. This time, the rebounding force was even stronger, but as his finger made contact, his internal energy erupted, counteracting the force. As his finger moved, the resistance from the stone grew stronger. By the end, loud cracking sounds reverberated, as though the stone was on the verge of collapsing. Flashing, blinding lights erupted from the stone, and at the moment of Wang Lin's final stroke, he felt part of his soul essence split off, surging toward his finger. Just as his soul essence was about to merge with the immortal sealing stone, Wang Lin suddenly raised his right hand. Using the tremendous force from the stone, he stepped back several paces before coming to a stop. Xun'er's gaze sharpened, and he looked at Wang Lin with deep meaning. He had clearly noticed that Wang Lin's soul essence had not merged with the immortal sealing stone. Even though his name was carved there, it wasn't his or Su Mu's, it was the name of the demon path scion. This Su Mu is truly from the Alliance Star domain, acting without greed and placing caution above all else. Xun'er retracted his gaze. Now, it's time for the final reward of this immortal ascension ceremony for the primary and deputy Thunder Immortals and the 36 Celestial Guardians. Each of you may propose a request. The Thunder Immortal Palace, the Xiang family, and the Gongsun family will do our utmost to fulfill it. However, any intentional difficulties will result in the cancellation of this reward. Wang Lin's heart shook violently. Taking a deep breath, he forced his racing heart to calm, his eyes flashing with unprecedented brilliance. He had come to the Thunder Immortal Palace for this final reward. Wanna. He did not step forward first. Instead, after several others made their requests, he slowly walked out, cupping his hands in respect toward Xun'er and said, I, the junior, have a request. Xun'er glanced at Wang Lin and spoke flatly, Su Mu, state your request. My request is to have a shattered, slumbering, and near-death nascent soul be reformed and awakened. Wang Lin spoke in a deep voice, with no change in his expression, though inside, his heart pounded fiercely, as though it might burst from his chest. Oh. Xun'er's eyes sharpened. After a brief pause, he looked at the elder of the Xiang family and said, this request is not difficult. The Xiang family has a divine art called the Divine Reconnection Art. It is said to have boundless uses and should be able to fulfill your request. Daoist Xiang, what do you think? The elder of the Xiang family smiled slightly, clearly appreciating Wang Lin. Upon hearing this, he chuckled, I presume the nascent soul you refer to was severely wounded after the body was destroyed, thus causing it to enter a slumber. This is not a difficult task. First, bring the nascent soul out, and I will examine it. Wang Lin remained silent. Li Muwan was incredibly important to him, irreplaceable. She was the one person he vowed to protect in this lifetime. In this moment, he hesitated for a moment, then raised his right hand and tapped his storage pouch. Immediately, a small glowing orb flew out, radiating soft light. During the 3 days of rest after arriving at the Thunder Immortal Palace, Wang Lin had secretly retrieved Li Muwan's nascent soul from the Heavenly Reversal Pearl without anyone noticing. Using the Annihilation Heart Seal technique, he carefully sealed it, preventing her nascent soul from dissipating. This was all for this very moment. Holding the glowing orb in his right hand, Wang Lin touched it gently with his left. The orb bloomed like a flower, opening up into petals, revealing the nascent soul within, sitting cross-legged in meditation. This nascent soul was Li Muwan's. Her face was pale, sitting there in a meditative posture, her entire being exuding an aura of fragility, as if a gust of wind could make her vanish, never to return. A faint glow surrounded her, making Li Muwan appear almost sacred, like an immortal fairy from the immortal realm who had descended into the mortal world, resting in Wang Lin's hands. Though she slept and had never awakened, even with her eyes closed, Li Muwan still radiated a subtle tenderness and kindness that could be faintly felt. Her beauty was delicate, not the stunningly exquisite face of a willow-browed beauty, nor the breathtaking arrogance of a red butterfly, but in Wang Lin's heart, what did all that matter? Li Muwan, in his embrace, was the woman whose appearance had changed from youth to old age in the blink of an eye, as though the very world had shifted around them in an instant. In the span of a moment, everything turned to dust, leaving only one sentence to echo eternally in Wang Lin's heart. If heaven wants you dead, I will still snatch you back. For that sentence, Wang Lin had come to Luotian. For that sentence, he stood in the Thunder Immortal Palace. As Wang Lin retrieved Li Muwan's nascent soul, Shi Zifeng, who had been watching from afar, felt her heart break. Her gaze faltered, her face drained of color, and her body trembled lightly as though she had heard her own heart shatter. So, the reason he went through all these trials to fight for the title of Immortal Ascension first is for this woman. Shi Zifeng's eyes filled with tears as she stared at the nascent soul in Wang Lin's hands. A sharp pain surged through her, bringing a bittersweet taste to her heart. To make his beloved do this for him. This woman, although her nascent soul is damaged and she lies in eternal sleep, is still fortunate. Qi Shui looked at Wang Lin and the nascent soul in his hands with a hint of nostalgic sorrow in his eyes. Many years ago, he too had a woman he vowed to protect for life, but now pain flickered in Qing Shui's eyes. The elder from the Xiang family glanced at Li Muwan's nascent soul, and his smile immediately froze. His eyes sparkled with sharpness as he stared intently at the nascent soul, slowly furrowing his brows and asking, "How long has this nascent soul been in slumber?" Wang Lin took a deep breath. At this moment, his 1,000-year cultivation seemed fragile, and he suppressed the trembling of his heart. He spoke softly, "Nearly 700 years." The elder nodded slightly and replied, "To preserve a nascent soul unchanged for 700 years, it seems you've put in considerable effort. But 700 years is too long. How could a nascent soul cultivator survive for 700 years? Not to mention, without a physical body, only the nascent soul remains. And most importantly, this nascent soul is on the verge of death. Sumu, perhaps you should make another request." The elder sighed inwardly. Wanting to help Sumu, he gave him the chance to ask for something else. The elder's words felt like a sharp needle piercing Wang Lin's heart. The pain was indescribable, as if the world itself was collapsing before him, leaving only a hollow emptiness, the bleak echoes of everything fading away. This pain made Wang Lin feel as though his very life force was on the brink of extinguishing. All he could hear were the elder's words, each syllable echoing like the rumble of thunder, reverberating over and over. Is there really no way? Wang Lin's eyes were filled with the deepest sorrow as he looked at Li Muwan. The elder sighed deeply and examined Li Muwan's nascent soul once more before shaking his head. If I'm not mistaken, this woman had her lifespan severed, and you used a special method to extract her nascent soul and nourish it. However, just as the nourishment was about to succeed and her life extended, an accident occurred, causing her nascent soul to be unable to endure. Although you've kept it intact, she has already been on the brink of death. With my power, I cannot help you. She was meant to die. Forcing her to remain, whether for you or for her, will only bring pain. The only thing I can do is send her into reincarnation." Wang Lin staggered backward, his face as pale as death. A spurt of blood, soaked with his soul's anguish, erupted from his mouth. With a bitter smile, he looked at Li Muwan's cross-legged nascent soul in his hands. Scenes with Li Muwan flashed before Wang Lin's eyes. The feeling of heartache spread throughout his body, a pain so intense it pierced to the bone and etched itself deeply into his soul. 2 streams of tears fell from Wang Lin's eyes. In his entire life, the times he had shed tears could be counted on one hand. Yet, this time, he wept. Staring at Li Muwan, a flame of unwavering resolve ignited in Wang Lin's heart. "If heaven decrees your death, I will still bring you back. Xun'er, this is my promise to you." Wang Lin raised his right hand, grasping Li Muwan's nascent soul. The surrounding seal immediately tightened, once again forming a small sphere. The elder of the Xiang family fell silent. After a long pause, he suddenly spoke again. "It's not completely hopeless." Wang Lin trembled, his mind resonating with the sound of tens of thousands of thunderclaps. In that moment, all of his power surged into his eyes, which locked on to the elder of the Xiang family. However, this method comes at a great cost. The key reason this woman cannot survive is due to her insufficient lifespan. If we can replenish her lifespan, perhaps there's a chance of survival. But this method, known as the 7th night art, is beyond my ability. Only my ancestors of the Xiang family, who have long been in seclusion, can perform it. Sumu, I must warn you, using the 7th night art requires the life force of someone extremely close to this woman. This way, there will be no rejection. However, the person transferring their life force will suffer a reduction in their own lifespan. And this reduction is not proportional. In fact, it's highly likely that you will lose 90% of your own life force to give her even the slightest chance of recovery. But that's all it is, a mere possibility. If it fails, your lifespan will also be lost, and there will be no way to restore it. Think carefully. If you agree, I can take you to ask my ancestors for help." A heavy silence fell. The elder's words echoed through the air, reaching the ears of every cultivator in the entire Luotian star domain. For the slim chance of saving a woman, at the cost of sacrificing nearly all of one's life force, was it worth it, or was it not? This question stirred within every cultivator who had heard the elder's words. The elder of the Xiang family genuinely admired Wang Lin. In front of all the cultivators of the Luotian star domain, he spoke these words with no selfishness or malice. I agree, Wang Lin said, his gaze fixed on the small sealed sphere in his hand. It seemed as though his eyes could penetrate through it and fall upon Li Muwan inside. His voice was hoarse, but as he spoke, it seemed to merge with the seal and reach into Li Muwan's heart. A wave of sorrow spread through her. Li Muwan's nascent soul trembled slightly, trying to open her eyes, but she had no strength left, only endless fatigue and sadness. Wang Lin knew that lifespan essentially came from life force. The stronger the life force, the longer the lifespan. As cultivators improved their cultivation, their life force also quietly strengthened. Therefore, the higher a cultivator's cultivation, the longer their life. The elder of the Xiang family nodded and said, since you agree, once the immortal ascension is completed, we will go to Donglin Star. A trace of reminiscence still lingered in Qin Shui's eyes, tinged with a hint of melancholy. He spoke calmly, Sumu, I will accompany you. Wang Lin looked at Qin Shui with gratitude in his eyes and nodded. He knew Qin Shui was concerned that something might go wrong on Donglin Star, and so he would accompany him to ensure the matter went smoothly. Next, the others made their requests. Notably, Xu Ting and Nan Gahan had the same request, entry into the Thunder Immortal Palace's immortal repository to study immortal arts. After the 36 celestial guardians received what they sought, the immortal ascension ritual was concluded. At the moment the ritual ended, Yin Lazy's laughter echoed all around. He rose from his meditation cushion, his robe swishing as his eyes shone with sharp light. He shouted, fellow Taoists, help me open the passage to the Alliance. The great battle is about to begin.